There are places you're not supposed to go. Places where danger hides in plain sight beneath water that looks calm, inside buildings that seem harmless, or in sacred places filled with prayer and peace. But some people, they went anyway. They didn't know what was waiting, and they never came back. Today, we're going to explore 3 true stories of people who walked into the wrong place at the wrong time. Each of them made one decision, one seemingly harmless choice that sealed their fate. And in every case, the warning signs were invisible. If you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, you're in the right place. Now, let's begin with today's first tale. It was a Sunday morning in Waco, Texas, October 30th, 2005. A man who looked like he could just come from a coffee shop or a college classroom. Under his leadership, the church transformed from a traditional Southern Baptist congregation to a progressive, welcoming community. And it wasn't just his sermons. It was his spirit, his jokes, his openness. He had a way of making faith feel real. She was ready. Her family was watching. Kyle gestured for her to come forward. He didn't just preach the Bible, he made you feel it. Warm water, clean robes, a symbolic washing away of the past. The city was still shaking off its morning chill, but inside the University Baptist Church, the atmosphere was anything but cold. 800 people, mostly young adults, college students, young families were packed into pews. Light poured in through the stained glass windows. Guitars and drums echoed across the walls. It felt more like a concert than a sermon. The church buzzed with life. At the center of it all was Pastor Kyle Lake, 33, bright smile, rolled up sleeves. Kyle had led the church for 7 years. That morning, Kyle was about to perform a baptism, something he always did personally. He loved it. He said it made him feel closer to God and to the people he served. The young woman being baptized that day stood near the edge of the stage, smiling nervously. As part of the ceremony, Kyle would step into the baptismal pool first. It looked like a waist-high hot tub. But just before he invited her in, his microphone cut out. Not a big deal. He looked around, spotted a wired microphone resting in a stand a few feet away, and reached for it. The moment his fingers closed around it, he screamed. A shriek so loud, so primal, it silenced the entire congregation. Electricity had leaked into the water. When Kyle grabbed the grounded microphone, he became a live circuit. At first, people laughed. Kyle was known for pranks. He once staged a fake marriage proposal mid-sermon. Maybe this was just another bit, but the screams didn't stop. They turned into words. Help, help me. That's when people began to panic. His wife stood up, her hands covering her mouth. Her children were across the hallway in Bible study. Kyle's body began to convulse in the water. Some people dropped to their knees in prayer. Others sprinted for the exits. Several called 911. By the time EMTs arrived, Kyle had stopped moving. The church was silent, only the sound of sobbing and whispered prayers filled the space. Kyle was pronounced dead shortly after arrival at the hospital. The investigation revealed a tragic truth. The baptismal pool's heating element had malfunctioned. In front of 800 people, he was electrocuted during a baptism. His wife filed a lawsuit against the company that installed the faulty equipment. The settlement was private. The church paused baptisms for months. The baptismal pool was eventually removed. To this day, some members say they still hear his voice in the sanctuary. Rural Ontario, Canada, August 15, 1971. The evening sun shimmered across a secluded lake surrounded by thick pine forest. It was peaceful, serene. Michael, 23 years old, sat in his living room, flipping through photos of his adventures cliff diving, mountain biking, scuba diving. He wasn't just a thrill seeker. He was disciplined, trained, Certified, he didn't chase adrenaline, he chased control in chaos. That's why when a police officer knocked on his door, frantic and breathless, Michael didn't hesitate. "There's a man missing in the lake," the officer said. "He's been gone over an hour. Locals said you're the guy. You've got scuba gear. You know how to use it." Michael paused, eyes narrowing. "Even if I give you the gear," he said, "you wouldn't know how to use it." "I'll come." He packed his gear in the cruiser and they sped toward the lake. When they arrived, it was eerily quiet. Families stood at the water's edge. Some cried, others whispered. Tourists who had come for a day of swimming stood frozen in their sandals. Still, no one was in the water. Michael suited up, mask, tank, fins. He scanned the surface. Calm, flat, but then something caught his eye. A ripple, just one, near the center of the lake. Strange, he thought. It's the only movement. He pointed. "I'm starting there." He stepped into the water, slowly, carefully. Then, he disappeared beneath the surface. Minutes passed. Then 15. Silence. Then, from near the dam shouting. A volunteer waved frantically. They had found a body. But it wasn't the missing swimmer. It was Michael, his gear torn, his body lifeless. Pulled from the river downstream and turned a valve. No one could explain it until the investigation revealed something chilling. Just after the swimmer first went missing before Michael was even called, a park employee had tried to help. He ran into the dam control room, ripped the gear from his body, dragged him through the pipe and drowned him. He thought it would help drain the lake, make the search easier. What he didn't know was that the valve opened a massive pipe between the lake and the river. A 30-foot long, 2-foot wide underwater tunnel. That ripple Michael saw, it was the surface disturbance caused by that suction. When he dove in, the current caught him instantly. The smell of oil, metal, and ammonia filled the air. Machines hummed, echoing off the walls. The swimmer's body was found later, just 150 yards from where Michael entered. He had been so close. Today, that lake is permanently drained. But hikers say sometimes, when the wind is still, the surface still ripples, even though the water is gone. These weren't just colleagues, they were like family. Auburn, Indiana. June 28, 1988, 5 a.m. inside the Bastion Plating Company, fluorescent lights buzzed to life. Jeffrey Link, 25, walked into the supply room and grabbed a container of cleaning solution. He was scheduled to perform maintenance on a large industrial tank. It was routine, done 100 times before. As he walked across the factory floor, he greeted co-workers' smiles, nods, casual hellos. The tank Jeffrey was working on had recently stored zinc cyanide, a highly toxic compound. His job was to go inside and clean it with a neutralizing chemical. He stepped inside. Seconds later, a loud thud. A co-worker turned and saw Jeffrey collapsed. Then another ran in to help collapsed. Then 2 more collapsed. Chaos erupted. People coughing, vomiting, staggering. The air felt wrong, heavy, sharp, like breathing through needles. 911 was called. When first responders entered, they too fell ill. It wasn't until hazmat arrived that the truth emerged. Jeffrey had grabbed the wrong cleaning agent. When it mixed with the zinc cyanide residue, it created hydrogen cyanide gas, colorless, odorless, and deadly. He was poisoned within seconds, so were the co-workers who tried to save him. It was silent, waiting, and as the gas spread through the ventilation system, others fell too. In total, 39 hospitalized. 5 dead, including Jeffrey. He was just trying to do his job. A baptismal pool, a ripple in a lake, a routine cleaning job. None of these seem dangerous until they are. In every one of these stories, the danger wasn't obvious. And once it struck, it was already too late. Sometimes the scariest places aren't dark alleys or haunted houses.